Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee. I hope and I pray that God the Father has granted you all grace and peace and mercy throughout this entire week. Today we are moving on in the Fruit of the Spirit study to gentleness. Now hold on to your seats because I think this study is going to blow your mind. It has certainly been one of the most eye-opening things I have looked at in the Bible in a long time. All right, so we're going to begin where we do each week with our key scripture out of Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. I have been surprised quite a number of times throughout this series on the study of the fruit of the Spirit, but never as much as I have been on the word gentleness. I always thought of gentleness as meekness or quietness or maybe even softness, the opposite of being strong. I thought of gentleness as compassion. I did not think of gentleness as being tough. I thought of gentleness as being delicate, but I certainly didn't think of gentleness as being bold. There were biblical examples that challenged these beliefs throughout the Bible, but how could I argue with the definition or this word that was being presented to me? And in the King James Version, the word is translated as meekness, which further solidified my preconceived notions about what gentleness was. Now, the interesting thing is, after I began to dive in and study this word, I found that it is a very complex word. It's the Greek word protes. Now, that word cannot be translated easily into 10 English words. It certainly cannot be translated into one word, such as gentleness or meekness. Today, we're going to begin to dive into what this word means, but I assure you there is no way we're going to get through this all in just one session. When doing word studies of ancient languages such as those used in the Bible, the Greek, the Aramaic, and the Hebrew, oftentimes the best way you can determine what that word means is to go back to other ancient writings or even the Bible and try to understand how that word was used in context in other places. Now, many times this is easy. It gives us a good use of the word so that we can proceed forward understanding what it means. But in some cases, it's not very easy, and you end up with some discrepancy about what that word may mean, and the experts arguing about it. Now, with the word protes, we have an outstanding opportunity that we aren't given very often, and it helps us to understand exactly what protes means. Aristotle, a famous Greek philosopher who died in 332 BC, robustly defined the word protes for us in his book on virtue and vices. Now, that's such a rarity for us to have this sort of definition written by a philosopher of that day and time. Let me read for you what Aristotle said protes meant. He said, "It is the ability to bear reproaches and slights with moderation, and not to embark on revenge quickly, and not to be easily provoked to anger, but to be free from bitterness and contentiousness, having tranquility and stability in the spirit." Now, the truth is, we could end our study on gentleness right there. We have now learned more about that word than most people who read about the fruit of the Spirit. But there is more. This word is so robust. We're going to dive into this a little more next week, and we'll probably quote a little more from Aristotle. But one thing we're going to get into is the relationship between gentleness and anger. You aren't going to want to miss this. Now, this week, remember, the world that you live in is your mission field. Now, go out and reflect Jesus into it.